number one. Karate for defense only. Eh? Rule number two. Fast run rule number one.
Hello and welcome to the Road to Karate Kid Legends. Our look back at the beloved martial arts franchise before we experience the unlikeliest of crossovers. I'm Ashley Hobley, and joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Happy to be here, talking about Kung Fu.
Whoa! Don't let a IP's name get in the way of
Sense.
the whole story, you know? Yes, today we're talking about 2010's The Karate Kid, a remake of the original film. That, you know, does have a lot of... It does not have karate, despite being called Karate Kid. Crazy. All right, let's dive in. Please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes in any of the movie, so if you haven't watched it, come back later. With that said, let's jump into discussing The Karate Kid.
Welcome to Beijing.
I feel like we're on a quest to start a new life in a new land.
A life he never wanted.
I just want to go home. This is home.
A place he was never welcome.
Look, everyone, it's the Karate Kid.
A teacher he never expected.
I thought you were just a maintenance man.
Nice.
Good news is they promised to leave you alone. Why are you prepared?
Prepare for what?
Tournament.
So the bad news is now they get to beat me up in public.
I will teach you real kung fu. Pick up your jacket. Check it on. Check it off.
I already did.
Jacket off. Be strong. Pick up your jacket. Come on. Focus.
I get it. You're Yoda and I'm like a Jedi. Mr. Han?
Your focus needs more focus.
First released June 11, 2010. Directed by Harald Zwart. Screenplay by Christopher Murphey. Story by Robert Mark Kamen. Starring Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan, Taraji P. Henson, Wenwen Han, Zhenwei Wang, Luke Carberry, Zhensu, Zhiheng Wang, and Rongguang. Apologies. When his mother's career results in a move to China, 12-year-old Dre Parker finds that he is a stranger in a strange land. Though he knows a little karate, his fighting skills are no match for Cheng, the school bully. Dre finds a master in Mr. Han, a maintenance man who is also a martial arts master. Mr. Han teaches Dre all about Kung Fu in the hope that Dre will be able to face down Cheng and perhaps win the heart of a pretty classmate named Mei Ying. Dylan, you haven't seen this before? No. What did you think of this version of The Karate Kid?
I didn't hate it as much as I assumed I would. I think it's like an okay reimagining, I guess. I would think more of it if it had actually called itself The Kung Fu Kid instead of Karate Kid, because by not doing that, it just feels weird. It just feels so fucking weird. I don't know how else to put it.
It's a little bit culturally inappropriate. Yeah,
there's literally no karate in the movie. Anyway, I liked Jackie Chan's Mr. Han. Doesn't feel like he's trying to be he's not trying to be Miyagi. And I guess to the same extent, Jaden Smith's not trying to be Daniel. So, like, at least it feels like, although they hit pretty much all of the same story beats that the original film had, it doesn't feel like they're trying to replicate those characters exactly. They're still doing like their own versions of those stories. So, which then helps them when obviously they do Karate Kid Legends, because they're able to treat them as their own separate thing, even if it did start out as a remake of the series. My biggest complaint though is too young.
Yes.
For everything that's happening in the movie, all the characters seem way too young.
Yes.
It's the kids, the level of fighting they have, weird. The falling in love with the girl at the park, too young, feels weird. Just all of it, he just seems too young. Everyone seems too young. That's the number one thing I think this movie got wrong.
It is especially fucked up that this sensei is trying to get his 12-year-old students to break the leg of another 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And he's teaching these kids no mercy and to go beat up people.
Yeah. It's just something about the age gap between these characters and the original movie. Like, teenage characters, it sort of makes more sense for these emotions and feelings and the anger and what have you. But here, I might just go watch some kids pop and chillax, like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Hey, Mei Ying, can I hold your hand? Like, what are we talking about here?
Why are these kids roaming the streets?
Go to school.
Pax, go to school. Where are your parents?
Where are you preschool or whatever the hell you're in?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not a terribly engaging movie. There's not too much excitement or anything. I think probably the best scene in the entire movie is when Mr. Han is fighting the bullies. I think that is the most interesting. The only part of the movie that I sat up and was like invested in, because Jackie Chan was being Jackie Chan.
I'll say there's one. I'll say yes, Jackie Chan being Jackie Chan. I have one other moment I'll say I set up for because it engaged me a little bit more, which is when the first time they go to the they go up the big side of the mountain and they get to the temple.
Yeah, okay.
Just because they didn't have anything like that in the original movie, and just like when they're roaming around, like it was beautiful landscapes and everything. And then when they get inside, and you see the person doing the snake thing, which I hate how that ties in later to the movie. But in that particular instance, I was like, oh, this is at least somewhat interesting.
Yes, it definitely feels like the China tourism board was involved in the making of this movie, or funding wise.
Well, it worked because I was like, I would like to visit that. That looks intriguing.
That looks cool. That looks like a pretty place.
Yeah, if I go to China, I would like to go. Where was that random place in the Karate Kid movie? And someone will be like, "There, that's where you want to go in your tour of China."
Is there an elevator?
Yeah,
I don't
want to
walk
that's the
steps.
problem, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, the youth of all these children is a very jarring issue.
Yeah, they raise them different in China, right?
Yeah. I also think Dre is a very unlikable character, especially early on. His disrespect for his mother, his general disdain for being in China and not even attempting to fit in, is pretty unlikable. So it takes a while to warm up to him.
What I
he's shit talking the old ping pong guy.
When I watch movies where Americans kids are taken to a different country and how they integrate I'd say this is a bad example. You want to know what I think of for a good example?
What?
Tokyo Drift.
Appreciate the older.
I feel like he does attempt to learn things. And you know what? He says, oh, they drift here. I will learn that. I don't know how to drift, but I will learn your culture.
Yeah.
And he integrates himself. Yeah.
Well, he does learn kung fu, so I mean, they do kung fu here.
Certainly didn't learn fucking karate though, did he?
All right, let's run through the plot of this film. All right, 12-year-old Dre Parker and his widowed mother Sherry moved from Detroit, Michigan to Beijing, China after she gets a job transfer at a car factory. Dre meets a young violinist Mei Ling and immediately becomes infatuated with her. I mean, the opening, very much like a recreation of the original film, but obviously twisted, going to China instead of LA. Even with the random neighbor kid who shows up.
Yeah, doesn't
that
feel
one
as,
scene.
it feels less relatable, I feel, when you have a character moving an entire country, because that's not something a lot of people go through. But I think just the moving state sort of thing is something that more people could relate to as well. It's sort of less automatically sort of makes it a less relatable movie. And maybe that's not what this one's going for, but I definitely feel like that is a element the original movie was going for. Like, you could relate to Daniel's feeling of moving to a new school or something.
Yeah. I'm sure there are people who move overseas.
I'm sure
Because-
there is.
yeah,
There definitely is. But I just
So
think
they're
obviously
valuable to them.
it's 1% to 10. Like
Yes, I do appreciate Dre's shoots terribly in the basketball game. He's like, my shooting arm's got jet lag. Instead of I'm terrible. And
does he
yes, then
say he has plane.
he's got airplane jet lag.
Yeah, whatever he says. Yeah.
Very unaware. And yeah, then he gets his ass beat by the old dude in ping pong. Yeah, that's what happens when you talk shit. Even if they can't understand you. So yes, he becomes infatuated with this girl, Cheng, a rebellious kung fu prodigy whose family is close to Mei Ling's, keeps them apart by constantly attacking, teasing, and antagonizing Dre. Also, what was really weird? When Mei Ling's like, can I touch your hair? That's kind of a weird, inappropriate thing that he kind of has to roll with.
Definitely the most racist line I feel like is thrown into the movie from them. They're like, these kids are bullies. They're doing the whole can we touch the black kid's hair?
Very odd. But yeah, these kids they fucking beat him up. Yeah, so he has to deal with them at school. The teachers don't believe he's been bullied and all that kind of stuff. He's got to hide his black eye for his mum. During a tour, they go to the Forbidden King Temple, and I guess they just get dropped off in the middle of a random town. And then Dre stalks those kids so he can throw a bucket of dirty water over them. The setup for this is brutal. Yeah. Dre, the enraged gang chases and brutally beats Dre. Maintenance man Mr Han intervenes and fends off the bullies, revealing that he is a kung fu master. Really good fight scene. And he never throws a punch, I think, which is the key. He never hits these kids.
Oh, he does proper Jackie Chan stuff, which is he just
maneuvers them into
maneuvers around them,
and that's why this is the best movie. It's just super enjoyable. So yeah. Han heals Dre's injuries using the Chinese medicine methods of fire cupping. He explains that Cheng and his friends are not inherently bad, but they are taught to be merciless by their teacher, Master Li. Dre asks Han to teach him kung fu. Han accompanies him to Li's Fighting Dragons studio to make peace. Doesn't really roll off the tongue like Cobra Kai. Li rebuffs the peace offer and challenges Dre to fight Cheng. Han counters that Dre can compete against Li's students all at the upcoming kung fu tournament, requesting that they let Dre train in peace until then. Li accepts, saying that if Dre doesn't show up, he will inflict pain on both of them. Perfectly.
I think
exactly the same.
I'll say that what's the teacher's name?
Li.
You've got it there?
Master Li.
More intimidating than Crane? No.
Johnny
Crane?
No.
Whatever. Doesn't it start with K? Or am I going insane?
John Kreese.
Kreese. There we go. Yeah, I'd say he's more intimidating than John Kreese. Especially considering that whole scene feels a bit more intimidating because it's instead of a random school with class with 25 students on the corner of a random street, it's like a massive complex with hundreds.
Yes. And they're just these little kids are beating the shit out of each other. Yes. Han teaches Dre kung fu by emphasizing movements that apply to life in general. Serenity and maturity, not punches and power, are key to mastering kung fu. He has Dre repeatedly take off and pick up his jacket to develop muscle memory. Obviously tied to the original film, but not immediately obvious as to how it's going to work.
Obviously, if you've watched the original film, you know that he's somehow training him some form of moves or something.
Yes, so.
But it's a lot more Miyagi. This scene comes off funnier. Just wax on, wax off. Like this is like, put your fucking jacket down. Put your fucking jacket on. Now hang your fucking jacket up. Put your fucking jacket down. Like,
yeah. And then him just watching him, like, and
Mm.
also for like several days. And then him like trying to avoid doing that and trying to do something else, But hiding his jacket and Han knowing that he hid his jacket. Good stuff. Han.
Now, breaking news. I had to look it up. I couldn't help myself. Alternative titles for this movie, right? So, in China, it has its actual title was, hold on, because there's 3 titles. I had to bring out old Google Translate. So the title it went through in China was Kung Fu Dream, right? It then had 2 alternative titles. I don't know where and when these were placed. One of them is Kung Fu Boy, which, yeah. And the other one is New Karate Kid, which is incorrect still. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Boy, I'm down for. Now, I looked through every other country, absolutely shit everywhere. It's still just the Karate Kid or New Karate Kid or something like that. Other than Japan, where, now hold on, let me just get this right.
This makes sense.
Because I don't have enough. There is 2 titles in Japan. It is Besto Kiddo, which, if you look up the straight to English version, it just retranslates it to, of course, Best Kid being the being the translation. But the direct translation is Besto Kiddo, which I think is a better title. I think Japan did the title better than the rest of the world, So just I thought that was, worth sharing.
All right. Han takes him to a Taoist temple where Dre drinks the water from a Taoist well and witnesses a woman make a cobra reflect her movements. Really good stuff.
It was a cool scene.
I appreciate this. Obviously, embraces that it is in China and like
embraces the culture.
Not in a way that they didn't embrace being in LA and Karate Kid.
Yeah, they should have done drugs or something.
They should have done the crane on the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. I like this scene. I do like the injection of the culture and everything like that. That we see a bit more here, and I like all of that. I put in a pin that I just hate how this comes back in the final fight because it's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Although straight after this scene, you have that moment where he's like trying to stare down his mum.
Yes.
Which again, just fucking
slap the boy.
These 12-year-olds just back in mind.
These 12-year-olds. He convinces Mei Ling to go to the Mei Ling asks him to go to the festival together, and they kiss behind a shadow puppet show, but they block the light so everybody see them kissing. Very odd. After weeks of training, Han gives Dre a day off. Dre persuades Mei Ling to skip school with him. After finding out, Mei Ling's parents deem Dre a bad influence and forbid Mei Ling from seeing him.
That's fair.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
they assume he's a bad influence because they were relaxing, and then she suddenly gets called into an audition at the last minute.
He was a bad influence.
Also, it was the dance scene in this that made me feel very awkward.
Why? Because they're all 12.
Yes. It's like, no. There are some people who are going to enjoy this too much. Dre finds Han drunk and depressed, smashing a car he was working on. He explains he crashed the same car years ago, killing his wife and 10-year-old son. He punishes himself. To punish himself, he spends a year fixing the car, then destroys it again on every anniversary of the accident.
Intense.
Pretty intense and messed up and dark and like a little bit darker than the Miyagi depression,
Hey, they all got their scars, you know?
Everybody's got their scars, but yes.
Everyone's got
Because
their scars,
it was interesting. You knew there was something up with that car. Because he had it like parked in his living room and was constantly working on it. And then for it to be revealed, yes, he killed his wife and son. Which I was surprised by because I thought that the main character of Karate Kid Legends was related to him. Apparently not.
Oh, you haven't watched this? I thought you had. I thought you'd watched this.
No, I haven't watched this.
Oh, I thought you had for some reason.
No. Dre trains harder and help. This is a bad sentence. Dre resolves to train harder and help his teacher overcome his trauma. Han helps Dre write and recite an apology in Mandarin to Mei Ying's father. Mei Ying's father accepts Dre's apology and in return lets Mei Ying attend Dre's tournament.
No, he says, my daughter's already promised you that.
Yeah, we don't break promises.
We don't break promises. I still think you're a loser.
You're a little shit. You're not good enough for my daughter.
Yeah, but we don't break promises. You know, a Lannister always pays his debts.
So this is the last time you'll ever see her.
Yeah.
At the tournament, the initially unconfident Dre starts defeating his opponents. An enraged Lee orders his student Liang to injure Dre in the semifinals.
They missed the best line. He should have said sweep the leg. And they should have had a kid next to him going, he's fucking dead already.
Put him in a body bag.
Put him in a body bag.
Liang reluctantly does so by delivering crippling blows to Dre's legs. He is disqualified and Dre advances to the finals against Chang. Dre pleads with Han to heal his leg with the fire cupping method. Realizing this is more than overcoming Dre's fear than anything else, Han complies. I don't think fire cupping works like that.
Use your crazy Chinese man magic.
Yeah. The final match starts. On Lee's orders, Cheng attacks Dre's injured leg, causing Dre to lose balance. He manages to get up and uses the snake stance he saw at the temple. Dre defeats Cheng with a kick to the head, earning the respect of Cheng and his classmates. Cheng, instead of the presenter, presents Dre with the trophy, and the Fighting Dragon students bow to Han, accepting him as their new master, leaving Lee defeated. I don't know if that's the impression I got.
For students or anything like that, but I mean.
Also, at some point, I thought they said that kicks to the head didn't count.
Except if you're
in the final.
That cool at doing it.
Yes.
Now, I'll say that at the end of this movie, the fight scene, the fight choreography and everything in this is substantially better than the original movie.
Yeah.
That is what it has going for it.
It's also heavily more edited.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. I appreciate it, and I called this out when comparing it to the next Karate Kid, that you could tell they learnt enough in the original Karate Kid to do the moves and stuff. However, it does come across a bit slow and rigid because they actually have the actors doing it. It's fine. It's good. If I compare the original Karate Kid to the next Karate Kid, shit's all over it. This, a lot of the kids, not Jaden, although Jaden does all right, I think. Obviously, a lot of the other students, the bully and whatever else, I think they know what the fuck they're doing.
I think they're trained for several years, whatever.
Yeah, it seemed like they were properly trained.
Because they did not really need much acting experience to do this.
No. So I think they were good. And then that's why some of the editing around is obviously more the Jaden stuff. But that does allow to see those other kids do a lot more the visceral stunty, choreographed fight stuff. But overall, I think this does have the best. If I was honestly to give this movie a first place for anything, I will say that the end fight scene in this, maybe not as emotionally gripping as some of the other ones, but I do think it's the best looking fights.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like, obviously, it must be like a big tournament in China, and they've got these graphics up on the wall.
Yeah, slow motion points.
And they do slow motion replays. I didn't see any cameras.
They got all the kids to pose for
Yeah, they pose like the football players or whatever. It's a good time. So yeah, I mean, it ends much the way all the Karate Kids movies end with,
No, it doesn't end on a freeze frame shot of the teacher.
Well, it fades to black. Not on the face, but them celebrating, you know. Got a big trophy. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm intrigued. I mean, look, I'm going into Next Karate Kid treating it as a sequel to this because that's what
Karate
it is.
Kid Legends, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, Karate Kid Legends. I'm going into that. That's a sequel to this.
Yes.
With a little bit of Daniel. And I'm not letting any marketing tell me otherwise. Like I know how that movie started production and what the play was. They wanted a sequel to this, which is what that is. And they're injecting a little bit of Daniel in to try and sweep the leg of both audiences together. So with that said, without the return, obviously that movie is going to be heavy on the new kid being interesting and whatnot. But also I enjoyed Jackie Chan's Mr. Han enough to be like, yeah, I'll watch him as like basically the main character of a new movie, I guess. The sequel to this.
No, yeah, I'm definitely more intrigued. I enjoyed Mr. Han in this, so to see him in the next film, I'm excited, and I already like the kid that they've got in the new movie.
What are you saying?
American Born Chinese.
Oh,
that was on Disney Plus.
Yeah, okay.
He was the lead in that, so yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely keen. But yes, next week we're going to be talking about some Cobra Kai, which Dylan has already jumped ahead in, so I need to catch up.
My bad. Actually, no regrets. Cobra Kai never forgives. I've nearly finished the first season.
Cobra Kai. We're only meant to watch the first 2 episodes.
Hey, look, whenever we do one of these things where it's like, watch the first 2 episodes, if I watch more than 2 of a show, that means it's a good sign, you know?
Okay.
That's a good sign. I understand I need to only have watched 2. I've nearly finished the first season. I'm planning to keep going. Spoilers, I am enjoying it.
Shocker. Let us know what you thought of the 2010 Karate Kid or Kung Fu Kid or Best of Boyo.
Best of Boyo!
By letting us know on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com or find us on other social media at Explosion Pod. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, follow us with $1. Head on to our co-page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, remember, SpongeBob's everywhere.